In this video, we're going to go through Tong School 2024 End of Year Examination, Primary 5 Math, Paper 2. So let's get started. So question 1. Mei Ling had 3.7 meters of ribbon at first. She used 48 centimeters of it. How many meters of ribbon had she left? Okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to convert the 48 centimeters to meters because the answer requires us to put in meters. Okay, so 100 centimeters equal to 1 meter. 1 centimeter is equal to 1 divided by 100. Okay, meters. I'm going to put as brackets. Okay, usually I'll just put like this. And then 48 centimeters is equal to 48. Then we have divided by 100 meters. Not divided by 100. It's just divided by 100. Why am I saying the same thing? Okay, and the answer is to 0.48 meters in this case, right? So now we know that how much she used is 0.48. So left with is 3.75 minus 0.48. Okay, so we can use the calculator. So let me open up my calculator. Handy dandy calculator. So we can always double check 48, right, divided by 100, 0.48 meters. So 3.75 minus 0.48. Okay, and this will give us 3.27. So in this case, this will give us 3.27 meters. Okay, so the answer to this 3.27 in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Okay, question number 2. Mrs. Tan bought 5 out of 7 kilograms of onions. She used 3/4 of them. How many kilograms of onions did Mrs. Tan use? Okay, so we have 5 out of 7. Okay, and she used 3 out of 4 of them. Okay, so common mistake is people think 5 or 7. Okay, there's a okay. Minus, I don't know why I say that, minus, and then 3 out of 4, right? Which is not the correct answer to this, right? So what you need to do is, because you use the word, the question use of, that means this 3/4 is 3/4, let me just put this, is times. Okay, so this means that this is equal to 3.4 quarters times something. Okay, right, times something lah, like in this case over here, right? So with that said, instead of 5 over 7 minus 3 over 4, this should be times. Okay, doesn't matter where you place the 3.4, 5 out of 7. Okay, but you just times and then it will still work. Okay, so in this case, what can we do? We can just times each other. So gonna duplicate this, right? So I'm gonna do, right, so you have 5 times 3, oops, 5 times 3 over 7 times 4, oops, not 44, 4. Okay, so what's 5 times 3? In this case, this will equal to 15. 5 times 3 is 15, and then 7 times 4 is 28, and that's the answer. Okay, 15 out of 28 kg, right? So always read the question properly, otherwise you make a careless mistake in this case over here. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 3. A tap takes 3 minutes to fill 9 identical bottles. At the same rate, how long will it take to fill 153 such bottles? Okay, so that means 3 minutes will fill up 9 bottles. Okay, 1 minute will fill up how many bottles? 9. Then divide by 3. Okay, and this will give us 3 bottles. So 1 5, so we have 153 bottles. Oops, let me do the reverse. Okay, so 9 bottles is equal to 3 minutes. Okay, I was so happy that was easy, but it wasn't, lol. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we have 9 bottles over here. Okay, and then 1 bottle will just be 3, then divide by 9. Okay, and we'll just put it as brackets because I don't want to calculate this first. Okay, I'll just put minutes, then 153. So we just swap the one. Oh, sorry, swap the three. Yeah, we swap the three over here. So bottles is equal to 1 5, not 2, 153. Okay, always 153. Okay, and then we divide by, sorry, 3, yeah, 153 divided, no, times 3 divided by 9. Okay, and what will this give us? Okay, so basically, let's use our calculator. So 153 times, no, not 152, 153 times 3, and then divide by 9. It gives us 51. That's it. So this will take us 51 minutes, right? So 51 minutes. Here you go. All right. That is it for question 3. Let's move on to question number 4. Question number 4, it says here, the table below shows the parking charges at the mall. First hour is $2.50. Every additional half hour, our part thereof is $1.30. So half hour, I recommend you to put the word 30 minutes. Okay, so that at least you know. Okay, so now Josh paid $9 for parking at a shopping mall. At most, how long did he park the car there? Okay, so we know that first hour, first 1 hour, he already put $2.50. So this is compulsory, right? Okay, so then we are left. So $2.50. So that means we are left with, so additional is basically 9 minus 2.5. This will give us, right, handy dandy calculator, no lah, doesn't give us the calculator, 2.5, right, this will give us 6.5. Okay, $6.5, right, $6.50. Okay, so additional, so number of additional blocks is equal to, in this case, 6.5. Then we divide by 1.3. Okay, and this will give us, so use the calculator again, then we just divide by 1.3, and this will give us 5. Okay, so how long did he park, his car? At most, means highest possible, or longest possible time, amount of time, amount of time. Yep, like this. Okay, or I just say at most means longest possible amount of time, just like that. We, okay, at most means longest possible amount of time. Okay, so with this, we can just say the person just maxed out, what do you call this, half hour, so 30 minutes. So in this case, we can say here, additional, I would say hours. So half hour is basically 0. 0.5. So 0.5 times 5, and this will give us 7.5. Okay, use our calculator again. Love using calculators because it will give me the correct answer. Wait, 2.5, not 7.5. My god, that's 15, right? 2.5 hours, right? So total hours is equal to 1 plus 2.5 is equal to 3.5. There you go. So that's the answer, 3.5 in this case over here. Very nice. Okay, so it doesn't really say that you can, yeah, so you can put 3.5 or 3.5. I'm gonna put 3.5 because that counts. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 5. So it says here, the table shows the number of people who signed up for a cooking class. What was the average number of people who signed up at a cooking class from May to August? Right. So we have number of months, which is equal to 4. Okay, then we have total number of people is equal to 64 plus 82 plus 78. Okay, so we're going to use the calculator for this. So 64 plus 82 plus 78. This gives us 224. Okay, so maybe some of you might mistake that it should be 3 months instead of 4 months. Okay, but no. So average monthly people is equal to 224, and then we divide by 4. Okay, so let me do 586. Okay, so let's see. 224 divided by 5, sorry, 4, gives 56. So the answer is 56 in this case over here. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 6 over here. All right. Okay, so in this case, an equilateral triangle piece of paper was folded along the dotted line. That's what you see over here. Okay, so find x, right? So in this case, what we're gonna do is, so we know that all of the, what do you call this? All of the angles are 60 degrees. Okay, so if I were to write here, all angles in equal equilateral triangle is equal to 60 degrees, right? So we know that these are all 60 in this sense. All right, so that means if this, let me draw this out. Okay, so if this, let me also put a different color. If, oh no, it's not. Okay, let me erase this first. Okay, let me draw a different color. If this is 60, so I'm going to write here 60, right? 60 degrees. Okay, so if this is 60, then that means when you fold, right? When you fold, then this is also 60, right? There you go. Right. So now we know that this is 60. So I'm just going to put the 60 here outside. Lah. So now we have x. Okay, so next thing is this is 24, right, degrees. So we also know that I'm going to put another color to draw this out. So we also know that this is 60 degrees. Okay, right. Then I'm just going to copy and paste this and put into a different color, right? So when you fold things, right, like this, so essentially this so in essence, let me just put another one like this. So this angle is also equal to this angle, right? But at the same time, when you fold this angle, that means, let me draw the line like small, this over here. Okay, so if I were to put it here like this, right, because I'm drawing by scale, this dotted line, I'm gonna draw it here, dot, dot, dot. Okay, and then this one also, I'm gonna draw it like this to this. Okay, 1 2 3. Okay, so this like this, right? Okay, so I'm gonna join like this. So that means when you fold things like this is also folded. I mean, there is two of the same angles. Okay, so when you fold, right, you will actually create angle Y. That's what you see over here. So I actually, what do you call this? Outline the original triangle. And since you fold, right, if you think about it, you actually also combine two of the same angles as what you see over here. So angle Y and angle Y in this case. So that means, right, when we fold the triangle, we create two same angles, in this case called angle Y, right? So I think from here we can solve, we can get what do you call this, angle Y, and we can also have X as well, right? So for this, angle Y, so the angle, yeah, correct. Okay, angle Y is equal to, so we know that this whole thing also, right? Let me duplicate this whole thing. right? Perfect. It's also 60 degrees, this whole thing. So that means we can just angle Y is, right, 60 minus 24. And then we put brackets because we also wanted to divide it by 2. Okay, so 60 minus 24, right? So let me use the calculator, is 36. Okay, 36. And then you also divide by 2, and this will give us 18 degrees, right? So now we know y is 18 degrees. Okay, then we know this angle is 60. We can actually get x. So angle x, right? So since this is a whole triangle, angle x is equal to 180. Whoops. 180 minus 60 minus 18. Okay, 120 minus this is 102 degrees. Okay, and that's the answer to this. All right, so if I were to double check again, so just 180 minus 60 minus 18, and that will be 102 degrees. All right, that's it. That is angle X. All right, so this is a tough one. So if you've done this kind of, what do you call this? If you've done these questions before, then you might be very familiarized. Otherwise, yeah, this is a tough one. Okay, but don't worry. Hopefully, now you know how to solve this kind of question. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question number 7. So question number 7 says the mass of a crate when filled with 50 apples was 15 kilograms. The mass of the same crate when filled with 20 apples was 9 kilograms. What was the mass of the empty crate? Okay, so I would say this is like repeated identity-ish kind of concept, but usually I'll just use simultaneous equation. So simultaneous, okay. I'm just gonna say let apples be A and let crate be B, right? Crate is not B, C. So crate plus 50 apples is equal to 15 kilograms. And then crate plus 20 apples is equal to 9 kilograms. Okay. So if you have 50 minus 20, so this will be 30 apples is equal to 15 minus 9. And this will give us, in this case, 6. 15 minus 9 is 6. So we know that one apple is equal to 6 kilograms. Whoops, this is 6 kilograms. Okay, so one apple, let me think. Okay, let's make it simpler. Let's have 10 apples is equal to divide by 3. So 10 apples, we have 6, and then divide by 3, and this will give us 2 kilograms. And then we have 20 apples is equal to 2 times 2. This will give us 4 kilograms. Okay, so now we know the crate, we can just add in. So C plus 4 kilograms is equal to 9 kilograms. Okay, so I'll just say swap 20A. Okay lah, never mind. I think this makes sense. So C is equal to 9 minus 4, which is 5 kilograms. That's it. The answer is 5 kilograms. Alrighty. Alright, let's move on to question 8. 3/5 of Patrick's money is equal to 1/3 of Joe's money. Patrick has $2,472 less than Joe. How much money do they have all together? So in this case, we have this concept called equal fractions concept. Okay, so what this means is that, so in this case, we have 3/5, right, of Patrick's money, right, is equal to 1/3 of Joe's money. So 1/3. So if I were to write this down, okay, so 3/5 of Patrick money is equal to, right, in this case, 1/3 of Joe's money. Okay, so how do we then do this equal fractions concept? So basically, in this case, what we need to do is we need to make the numerator the same. So numerator the same. Okay, so that's step one. Okay, step one is to get the numerator the same. So that means we will get the lowest common multiple. Okay, so in this case, pretty straightforward. We can just multiply 3 in Joe's case, lah, right? So with this, that means 3/5 of Patrick's money is equal to, so 3 over 9. Okay, so 1/3 times 3 in this case. So with that, we just multiply this by 3, right? So we have this, multiply this by 3 and multiply this by 3. Okay, and this will get you 3 over 9. So what that means is that step 2 is we will get, in this case, convert denominators to units. So in this case, Patrick has how many? 5 units. 5 units. And Joe has 9 units. Okay. All right. So let me just push all of them into one side so it's easier to see. Okay. So this will do. Okay. Then you can solve already lah. Okay. So let me just push this up. Right. So in this case, we know the units for all of this. Then we know that Patrick has 2,472 less than Joe. So difference, okay, is equal to $2,472. So we have difference in units is equal to 9 minus 4. 5 equal to 4 units. So that means in this case, right, let's put a line over here. We can solve it already, right? So let's put this at one side instead. Okay. So step 4 or step 3 is to solve, right? Step 3 is to solve. So in this case, how much money do they have altogether? So difference in units, 4 units. So we know that means 4 units is equal to $2472. So 1 unit, okay, is equal to 2472, and then we divide it by 4. And what will this give us? So let's use our calculator. 2472, then we divide by 4, and this will give us $618. Okay, so okay, and then let me put a solve on top here. So total units is equal to plus 5, which is equal to 14, right? So 14 units is equal to 14 times 618. Okay, let's use our calculator again. So we multiply by 14, and this gives us $8,652. It's $652 in this case. So the answer to this is 8652. All right. So why this equal fraction works is because if you were to use the model, so I'm going to use the model as well, right, to make it simpler to understand. You have Patrick, and then you also have Joe, right? Okay, Joe. So you know Joe's 1/3. So I'm going to draw a rectangle. Joe's, you have 1/3 over here. 1, 2, 3 is equal to 3/5, right? So this one, we just shade it like this. 3/5 of Patrick. Okay. So I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. 1, 2, and 3. So make it smaller. So in this case, you could see that Patrick and Joe over here, this whole rectangle, right, is the same. Okay. So since Patrick has 3 over here, then he has 2 over here as well, right? Just to 3/5, right? Makes sense, right? Patrick 3/5 is equal to Joe 1/3. So that means Patrick in total have 5 units. Joe in this case would then have 1, 2, 3. So I'll just copy this. He has 1, right? So maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger so that at least it's easier to see, right? Now we just remove this, the third. Okay. So in this case, let me make this invisible. So we have 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And then we have paste it here. So we have 1, then we have 2, and then we have 3. Okay, so therefore, in this case, right? Okay, now it makes sense. So in total, Joe has a total of 9 units, right? 9 units. And then Patrick over here has a total of 5 units. Okay, so do do yep, 5 units. So this is how, oops, 5 units, right? So this is how it looks like when we were to do the model drawing. In this case over here. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. So for me, the easiest is to just use the equal fractions concept lah, right? So this is just one way to see how everything looks like. In this case over here, oh, we got this, and okay, right? So we can make this smaller a little bit. That's how. Okay, this is the model looks like. All right, so yep, that's it. Let's move on to question number 9. Okay, so question number 9, it says here in the figure below, ENF is 30 centimeters. So ENF over here is 30 centimeters. I'm going to draw an arrow, okay, to just say this is 34, not 30, 30, 34 centimeters, okay, in this case over here. So I'm just going to draw this, then I'm going to draw a line to do this lah, right? Oops, don't draw an arrow, draw a line that says ENF over here, even though it's not very straight. Okay, something like this. All right, and then over here as well, F. Yeah, okay, so 34. Find the area of the shaded part in this case over here. All right, so what we know is that in this E and F, right, E is an equal parts, F, a line over here, is also equal parts, right? So in this case, we kind of know that this whole, what do you call this? This whole triangle it has been equally split into half because of this line over here. Okay, so then how do we get this shaded area? Basically, what we need to do is we need to get this triangle plus this triangle minus this whole thing over here. Okay, all right, so what we need to do is um, we need to, or actually we can get this triangle. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out using the line again. So I'm going to have a line that is solid. Okay, so basically this whole triangle, right? So I'm going to draw this triangle over here. So we actually can get this triangle. Okay, so this is 18 centimeters. So we just need to get this um, length over here. So we need to get this length, right? Which is, let me get the line as well in this case, right? So we need to get this. This is not 34 centimeter. We need to get this centimeter, okay, for this line. Okay, so if we can get this, we can get the base, and then we also can get, in this case, the height, which is 34 centimeter divided by 2, right? So in this case, if I were to group this up, right, this is the same as this over here, right? Okay, so in essence, we can get the area of this, right? So basically, uh, let's get, if you want to get a shaded part, is equal to uh, the shaded, let's say half of the shaded part, because I want to focus on the half, is equal to basically the half of the big triangle minus what is this called, the red triangle. Okay, that's it. Okay, if you know that, then great. Okay, so let's get the half big triangle. So the red triangle, I'm gonna put a line to indicate this is red triangle. Okay, without the dot. Okay, so first in this case, so let's get the big triangle is equal to, so we have the half base times height times base times height. So in this case, pretty straightforward. We know the base is 54 and the height is 84. So we just half times 50. The base is 54 and then the height is 84. Okay. So we use the calculator, right? So we have half times, or we just say 54 multiplied by 82. Okay. And then this is the answer. Then we just say divide by 2. Right, and this will give you 2214, 2214 centimeter and then square. Okay, so now we want to get the half big triangle. Okay, and this is basically 2214. Okay, basically you just times half lah, right? So half times 2214. We use our calculator again, divide by 2. Essentially, it will be 1107 centimeters square. In this case over here. All right. So this is half the big triangle. All right. So now we know half of the big triangle. The next thing we want to get is the red triangle. So red triangle height is basically, as you can see, is 34 centimeters. So it's basically half of 34. Okay. Right. Or 34 divided by 2 basically. 34. Then divide by 2. This will give 17 centimeters. All right, so what about the base? Okay, so the base over here, we know that this is 18 centimeters. If you really can't see what's the name here, so I'm just gonna put yellow, 18 centimeters. Okay, so it's easier to see. Okay, so this 18 centimeter, I'll just put the arrow as well as this, because really cannot see. Okay, right, so this whole thing is 18 centimeter. So what you can do is to get the what do you call this the base. So red triangle base is basically 84 minus, and then we know there's 18 centimeter, right? It's equal to, I think this is 66, right? So let's double confirm. 84 minus 18 is equal to 66. Okay, 66 centimeter. So now we know that the red triangle over here, triangle area is equal, so this should be the area. Okay, half base times height, half. So let me just make this a little bit easier to see. Okay, right, so rectangle area is half base times height. Okay, so I'm going to remove this. Okay, and what's the base? In this case, the base is 66 and the height is 17, right? So half times 66. Okay, let's use the calculator. 66, all right, multiply by 17, multiply by half is 0.5. Okay, and this will give us 561. So now for the half shaded part, so half shaded part, we can just swap in. That's what I see over here. So half shaded part, okay, is equal to half big triangle minus red triangle. Okay, I'm just going to repeat this so it's easier to understand why we are doing this. Okay, half big triangle minus red triangle. So half big triangle is equal to 1107 minus 561. So, and the answer to this is 1107 minus 561, 546. 6 for half of the shaded part. Shaded part, half of the shaded part. Yeah, centimeter, then square in this case. Right, so now we want to get the full one. So shaded part, oops, right, is equal to, so shaded or full shaded part is, we just need to multiply this by 2. Okay, which is equal to 546 multiplied by 2, 1092, right? So 1092. So times 2, 1092. Okay, right, centimeter and then square. Okay, there you go. So that's the answer. So we're gonna write 1902 centimeters square in this case over here. All right. Okay. So yep, that's about it. So I added just a bit of this so you know what's the base and height. Make it this red as well. And this base is also red. Okay, so it's easier to see in this case over here. The height, yeah, this is very small already. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Question number 10. Okay, so it says here at 8 a.m., machine A started printing stickers, right? And then machine B started printing 1 minute later than machine A. For every minute, machine B printed 30 fewer stickers than machine A. So both machines stopped printing at 8:05 a.m. So total of 600 stickers were printed. How many stickers did machine A print? All right, so it will look something like this. So machine A started from 8 a.m., right? And then it ends at 8:05 because it says both machines stop at 8:05. But for machine B, it started at 1 minute later than machine A. So that means it's 8:01. And then for every minute, machine B printed 30 few stickers than machine A. So that means 600 stickers is without this as well. Okay, so in this case, that means if you were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 4, this will give you 9 units equal to, right? So 9 units is not equal to 600 stickers. 9 units is equal to 600 and then plus 30 times 4. Okay, because machine B itself is, what do you call this? Is printing less stickers. So we need to add in this as well so that we know what is the total of 9 units. So in this case, 600 plus 30 times 4 is 600 plus 720. And this will give us, 120. And this will give us, let me zoom this in. Okay, 720. So that means 1 unit is equal to 720. And then we divide it by 8. And this 32 divided by 8 gives you 90. So in this case, how much stickers did machine A print? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 units. So machine A is equal to 5 units. And 5 units is equal to 5 times. 720 is, yeah. Sorry, 720 divided by 9. Okay, this should be 80, right? My bad on this. So 5 times 80, and this will give you 400. Okay, always double check your work. And yeah, there you go. The answer is 400. All right. Okay, that's it for this thing over here. All right, let's move on to question 11. In the figure, DE is parallel to GF. So I'm going to draw it down. So DE, whoops, I don't want this. Yeah, I want it to be solid. So DE is parallel to G and F. And then DE is equal to EG. So DE as well. DE is equal to, let me get a line now. DE is equal to EG, right? Let me get another line. EG and EF, like this, right? So you can see these are two isosceles triangle. All right, so what does that mean? Find GEF. So we want to find GEF. So I'm gonna draw the line over here. So what is GEF in this case over here? Right? All right. So what we're gonna do is, since we know, mark it down already. So in a sense, if you look at this, um, what you can do is that you know that it is an isosceles triangle. So that means angle. So since EDG is 61 degrees, that means EDG is equal to angle EGD. EGD, which is also equal to 61 and then degrees. Okay, so at the same time, we also know that this this whole figure, this figure, since there is a parallel, this figure is a trapezium, right? Because we only know that only ED and GF is parallel. So what that means is that the parallel sides are the one that will be equal to 180. So with this, that means DGF, right? Angle DGF is equal to 180 minus 61. Okay, and this will equal to, so this will be 119. Okay, so let's double confirm with our calculator. 180 minus 61, and this will give you 119 degrees in this case, right? So we know that this part over here is 61 degrees, right? Okay, and we also know that, let me do a yellow color one. This whole thing over here, wait, let me get a line, easier. Get a line and then make it curve in the middle, something like this, and this, right, is equal to 119 and then degrees, right? So we know this whole yellow line is 119 degrees. Okay, so that means we want to get the red line. Okay, if you know the red line, that means we can know the answer to this. My drawing not that good, so we need to get the red one. Okay, which is basically EGF. So that means EGF, angle EGF, okay, is equal to 119 minus 61. So this will give us 58 degrees. Okay, so let me double confirm with the calculator. So 119 minus 61, this will give us 58 degrees. Okay, since this 58 degrees, right, is the same as this 58 degrees, let me put a line as well. And since we know that the, what do you call this? This EGF is an isosceles triangle. So right, so the EGF is a isosceles triangle. Okay, my spelling is a bit wrong. Okay, so that means angle GEF is equal to 180 minus 58 times 2. Okay, let's use our calculator. So 180 minus 58 times 2. This will be 64. So the answer to this is 64 degrees. Okay, and that's the answer. 64. Not red, black. All right. Okay, 64 degrees. All right, next one. Circle the words that describe correctly in the following. So DEFG. DEFG is a rhombus and is not made out of two identical isosceles. So you can see that it is not made out of the identical isosceles because it's 50, 58 and 61, 61. So we need to circle. Let me circle. So DG is not rhombus. It's not. Rhombus means uh, every side is the same and it's not. So both not. DG is not. It's not made out of this thing. Okay. All right. So I think it's pretty clear to see this. All right. Let's move on to question number 12. Okay. Question 12. Okay. So the line graph shows the number of bags. So question 12, the line graph shows the number of bags sold each month from January to June. Okay. So between which 2 months was there the greatest increase in the number of bags sold? Okay. So we want to know what's the greatest increase. I think from this observation, it's a very good guess that the answer is May. Okay, May and also June in this case, right? Because of the steepest curve as what you see over here. But to just double confirm, we want to know what will be this in this case over here. So let's say number of bags sold. Let's put a number because it's easier to just put a number. Okay, so in this case, let's put one line as 1. So we have 1. I'm going to pause and I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to put all the numbers. Right, so all of these are, you could say, fake numbers. So from January is, let's say, 3 bags sold. February is 8. And then March is 4. Right. Then April is 6. And then May is, in this case, 3. And then, 3. And then June is 9. Okay. So from this, we can see what's the difference. So I'm going to use arrows for this. So from 3 to 8, this is plus 5. Okay. From from Feb to March, this is minus 4. Okay, 8 minus 4. Then for 4 to 6, this is plus 2. Okay, and then from April to May, this is minus 3. Okay, and then lastly from 3 to 9. Okay, and this is plus 6. Okay, so in this case, you can see which one has the highest increase, May and June. Okay, so I just want to highlight and say here that these are fake numbers, right? We put this here so easier to count. Okay, and it's also pretty accurate in a way lah, right? Oops, put this here so easier to count. Okay, so there you go. In which month was there twice as many bags sold as in March? So we know March is 4. What's twice? In this case is February. Pretty obvious. Okay, and then next one, last one. 224 bags were sold in February. So February is over here. Okay, how many bags were sold in April? So we can use this as units. Right, so this as units. Okay, so in this case, we know that in February, we have sold 8 units. Okay, so February is equal to 8 units. Okay, so 8 units is equal to 224. Then how many bags were sold in April? April is 6 units. So February, okay, 8 units. Then April is 6 units. So 8 units is equal to 224. 1 unit is equal to 224. And then you divide it by 8. Let's use our calculator. Okay, so 224 divided by 8. Okay, this will give you 28, right? So now how many bags were sold in April? April is 6 units. Go to 6 times 28 equal to, right? So 6 times, 6 times 28, and this will give you 168. That's it. So the answer is 168 bags. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question number 13. It says here, a regular tank measuring 150 by 120 by 50 was completely filled with water. What's the capacity of the regular tank? Right, so capacity is another word for volume. Okay, just to have a simple understanding of that, I'll put a star here as well. Okay, so that means volume or capacity is equal to length times breadth times height. Okay, and in this case it's equal to 150 times 120 times 50. And what will this become? So we will use the calculator. So 150 times 120 times 50, and this will give us 900,000 centimeter cube. Okay, so let's convert this to liters. 900 liters. So just going to put here 900 liters. That's the capacity. So there is no, what do you call this? There is no thing to say it is in centimeter cube or liters. I'm just going to put liters, so easier, right? Okay, let's move on. Next one is Sam drained out the water from the tank at a rate of 12 liters per minute. At 11:45 a.m., Sam found that there were only 420 liters of water left in the tank, right? So at what time would the tank be one fifth full? So first, we want to know what is, in this case, one fifth full. So we know that full is equal to 900 liters. One fifth full is equal to one fifth times 900. Okay, and then we can just divide basically 900 divided by 5, it will be 180 liters. Okay, so we want to get 180 liters, so we want to drain until 180 liters. Okay, so we know that currently there is 420 liters. So what is left? Drain is equal to 420 minus 180, and this will give us 240. Okay, so let's double confirm that. 420, oops, 20 minus 180, this will give us 240. Okay, so we know that 1 minute is equal to 12 liters, right? 12 liters. That means in this case, 12 liters is also equal to 1 minute. So 200, okay, 1 liter is equal to 1 divided by 12 minutes, like this. We're just going to put brackets over here. Okay, and then 240 liters is equal to, in this case, 240 divided by 12, and this will give you 20 minutes, right? So so 11:45 a.m. plus 20 minutes. Okay, this should give you 12:05 p.m. Okay, and so the time that it will be 1:54 will be 12:05 p.m. There you go. All right, let's move on to the next question. All right, so question 14. Some lampposts were placed in a straight row at an equal distance apart. The distance between the first and the sixth lamp was 90.5 meters. The distance between second and the last lamp was 307.7 meters. How many lampposts were there altogether? So let me draw really quickly. All right, it will look something like this. So in this case, right, gaps or intervals between sixth and first is equal to 6 minus 1. This is equal to 5. So that means one gap distance is equal to 90.5, and then we divide it by 5 in this case. So let's use our calculator and then decalculator 90.5, and then we divide by 5. Okay, and this gives you 18.1 meters, right? So we know that the gap in between one, right, the first one and second one in this case will be 18.1 meters, right? Okay, so then the distance between the second and the last lamppost was 37.7 meters. So number of gaps between second and last is equal to last lamp post is equal to 30.7 307.7, and then we divide it by 18.1. Okay, and then we can use the calculator. So this will be 307.7, 7, and then we divide it by 18.1. Okay, and this will give us 17 gaps, right? So from second to the last lamppost is 17 gaps. So that means the last lamppost is equal to 2 plus 17 gaps. This will be the 19th lamppost. Okay, so that means how many lampposts were there altogether? In this case, this will be 19, right? So that's the answer, 19. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Question 15. So it says here, team had a total of 1,648 blue and red paper cranes. He had 132 more blue than red paper cranes. He gave away half of his blue paper cranes and folded more red paper cranes. After that, he had 4 times as many red paper cranes as blue paper cranes. How many red paper cranes did Tim have at first? So this is pretty straightforward. So at first, if you will draw the model, if you want to, right? So blue, and then you also have red. Okay, so simply you draw, he had 132 more blue than red. So in this, let me make it this a little bit smaller and this a bit bigger. Okay, this is not drawn to scale, and this is 132, 32, and then total will be 1648. 1648. Therefore, how many is the red paper cranes? So essentially, red is equal to 1648 minus 132, and then in this, we will divide by 2. Okay, and this will give us the answer. Okay, so in this case, let's use our calculator. 1648 minus 132 is equal to 1516 divided by 2. This will give us 758. Right, 758. So that's the answer, 758. Right, that's it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How many more red paper cranes did Tim fold? Okay, so we know that in this, after from this, right? So at first, blue, right? Blue at first is equal to 1648, oops, minus 758. Okay, so let's do that in our calculator. 1648 minus 758. So blue at first, he has 890, right? So now we know in IT, blue at first. Then in this case, he gave away half of his blue paper cranes, right? So that means blue in the end is basically 890, and then we divide it by 2 because he gave away half. Okay, so in this case, we divide by 2. This will give us 445. Okay, so after that, he had 4 times as many red paper cranes as blue paper cranes. So if blue is 1 unit, so 1 unit is equal to 445. So that means his red paper cranes is 4 units. So in this case, blue in the end in units is equal to 1. Then red in the end in units will be, oops, red. Okay, it will be 4, right? 4, 3. 4 times. Okay, so 1 unit is 445. 4 units is equal to, oops, 4 times 4, 445. Okay, so multiply by 4. Okay, this will be 1780. So we know a rate at first is 758. So how many more did he did it? So uh, number of more rate number of more rate in the just how many more, okay, number of red paper cranes folded more, which is basically 1780, and then you minus 758. Okay, so minus 758, this is 1022 in this case over here. So that's the answer. Okay, 1022. All right, let's move on to the next question. Question 16. All right, so Willie spent 3/7 of her money on 6 stalks of roses and 6 stalks of tulips. She spent 1/4 of her remaining money on 3 stalks of daisies. Each stalk of tulip cost 7 times as much as each stalk of rose. Each stalk of daisy cost 30 cents more than each stalk of rose. How much did each stalk of tulip cost? Okay, so this is a very, very long question. So luckily the fraction over here is pretty easy to work with. So in this case, so 3 and then 7. Okay, wait. Not this one. So I'm going to use model so it's easier to visualize. Okay, so step by step first. So in this case, we have 3 out of 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 3 out of 7 here. All right, so let me make it a little bit bigger, something like this. All right. So in this 3 out of 7 of her money, she bought 6 stalks of roses and tulips. So I'm gonna use like simultaneous equation. Let roses be R and let tulips be T. Okay. So with this, 3 out of 7 is basically 6 roses plus 6 tulips. Okay, all right. So now the next one is she then spent 1/4 of her remaining. So this is the remaining. I'm gonna put here. So this is remaining, right? Remaining. So 1/4 of the remaining on the money on 10 stalks of daisies. So that means, right? So let the daisies be D, right? So this will be 10D in this case over here. So each stalk of tulips costs 7 times as much as each stalk of roses, right? So tulip costs 7 times as much. So that means one tulip costs 7 times. So let's say one tulip is equal to 7 units. Okay, and then stock of rows, so 1R is equal to 1 unit. Okay, that's what you see over here. Then each stock of daisy costs, so this is the last one. Each stock of daisy costs 30 cents more. So one daisy is equal to 30 cents more. So one daisy is equal to 1R plus dollars 0.30. Okay, so it's the same as 1 unit plus 30 cents lah. So 1D is equal to 1R. Okay, let me put it here, which is the same as 1 unit. Okay, so 1D as well. That's what I see over here. All right. So how much is the stock of tulip cost? Okay, so tulips over here is 7 units. Okay, so what we know over here is that for 1 unit, so 1/4 of remaining is 10 daisies. And we know each stalk of daisy costs 30 cents more than each stalk of rose. So we know 10 daisies, right? 10 daisies is equal to 1 unit. Okay, then we put bracket, right? Plus 30 cents, 0.3. Okay, so and then we times 10. So in this case, 10 daisies is equal to, right, 10 units plus, so we have to multiply. When you multiply 10, you need to, let me just put a rectangle. Let me also add some space, right? So you need to multiply for this thing over here. Let me get an arrow with this, right? So 10, you need to multiply. Not a big fan of this, but yeah. So I'm just gonna use this. Okay. So 10, you need to multiply 1 unit, and 10, you also need to multiply the 3. Okay. So that means 1 unit times 10 is 10 units, and then for 0.3, this will just be $3. Okay, in this sense over here. Right. Okay, so or just three lah, $3. Okay. So now with this, we know 10. We know that 1 unit is in fact 10 units, or one part. Okay, so we know that in this case, one part is equal to, or one part is equal to 10 units plus $3. Okay, that's good. Or yeah, one part. Okay, so next one is 6R plus 60. Okay, so 6R plus 60, so 6R plus 6T is 3/7 of our money. Okay, 3 parts. So 6R is basically 1 unit. So 6 times 1 unit plus 60 is 6 times 7 units. Okay, so that means 6 times 1 unit is 6 units. And then plus 6 times 7 is 42 units. Therefore, this will be 48 units. Okay, so now we know that 3 parts is equal to 48 units. So 1 part is equal to 48 divided by 3. And this will be, I'm thinking 16. 16. So let's double check with the calculator. 3, 16. So since we know that 1 part is this, that means this 16 units, sorry. So that means 1 part is also 10 units plus $3. So 16 units is equal to 10 units. 10 units plus $3. Okay, so that means 6 units is equal to $3. Okay, and then 1 unit is equal to 3. Then we divide it by 6. It should be $0.50. Let's double check with our calculator. Okay, so 3 divided by 6 is 0.5. Correct. Okay, so now we know that 1 unit is 0.5. Now we want to know what's the tulip. Okay, so we know tulip over here is 7 units. So that means in this case, 7 units is equal to 7 times 0.5. And this will become dollars 3.50. So the answer to this is dollars 35 cents. Okay, a lot of steps, right? But yeah, and this is how we do it. So I'm just gonna put here 1 part, so it's easier. 1 part, one, oops, 1 part, 1 part, 1 part. Okay, so yeah, that is how you do it. Right, let's move on to the last question. Question 17. Esther spent $550 on 4 similar skirts and 3 similar dresses. She wanted to buy another similar dress, but she was short of $53. In the end, she bought another similar skirt and had $28 left. How much more did each dress cost than each skirt? All right, so to answer the question 17A, or 17 part A, how much more did each dress cost than each skirt? So let's go to the last sentence over here. So in the end, she bought another similar skirt at similar skirt and had $28. So she had some money, right? So I would say basically she has a skirt, this, all right, and then she had $28 left. Okay, so that means in this case, this is the remaining money, right? So I'm going to put the arrow here. So this is the remaining money. So let's move to the middle sentence. She wanted to buy another similar dress, but she was short of $53. Okay, so this means that she had the remaining money, right? So this is the remaining, okay, but basically she's not able to get because she's short of 53. So maybe this is a bit bigger, and this is $53. 53. Okay, so in this case, how much more did each dress cost, right? So this is the remaining. So how much more did each dress cost? So this is the dress, this is the whole dress itself. Okay, this is the dress. So the answer to this is, or what we're looking for is this: how much more? The third. Oops. Okay, so in this case, let me put a line as well to cut over here. Okay, so basically it's just 28 plus 53, right? So 28 plus 53, okay, and then let's use the calculator. This should be 81. So 28 plus 53, okay, this will be $81. So dollars 81. Okay, that's about it. Okay, next one. How much money did Esther have at first? Okay, so we know that in this case she spends $558 on 4 similar skirts and 3 similar dress. So if we can get the skirt amount, then we can get the remaining and we can add this as well. Okay, so basically total is in essence dollars 558 plus the skirt or the remaining skirt plus dollars 28. Okay, all right, so in this case this is what we were looking for lah, right? We want to get the remaining. Okay, so what we want to do, okay, let me just add one more lah. So remaining is equal to skirt plus dollars 28, and then basically the total is $58 plus remaining, right, which is basically this. Okay, remaining. All right. Okay, so we know that one skirt or one dress costs $81 more than each skirt. So if I were to I'll just put this here. So if I were to draw, whoops, I'll draw a rectangle, right? Okay, so in this case, let me draw it really quick. All right, it will look something like this. So you have the skirt, you have the dress, and dress is $81 more. So in this case, if we get the skirt, then we can get the remaining. So in this case, right, what can we do? The skirt and the dress. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have units. So 7 units plus 81 times 3. Okay, this whole thing is equal to 558. Okay, so 7 units is equal to, so 81 times 3 is 243. So let me double confirm with my calculator. So you multiply by 3 and this will give 243 equal to 558. Then 7 units is equal to 558 minus 243. Okay, let's use this. 558 minus 243 this will give us 315. Okay, so 7 units is equal to 315. 1 unit is equal to 315, and then we divide by 7. Okay, and divide by 7, this will give 45. Okay, so now we know that 1 unit is 45. That means the skirt, right, in this case is the skirt is equal to $45. Okay, so we know that remaining is skirt plus 28. So in this case, we have $55 plus skirt. Okay, $45. And what would this give us? 558 plus 45 plus 28. And this will give us $631. $631. All right, that's it. And that is essentially the answer, $631. All right, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more of this kind of video, subscribe down below and comment down what are the things you want me to go through next. See you in the next one. Bye bye.